Hello there and welcome to today's video, which is going to be a bit of a studio vlog and process video. I'm going to be showing you how I made a polymer painting of Candyman quite recently. I have made Candyman in the past a few times actually, but as kind of 3D sculptures, so it was really interesting to make him as a painting this time around. It just felt like a completely different experience, so yeah, that was super interesting. And also, I mentioned a few videos ago I've been having some issues with my hands. Basically I've got some finger calluses now, which are never pleasant for sculptors because, you know, they kind of get in the way. So I'm going to talk you through some solutions I found basically to be able to work with my hands, should you ever come up with, you know, similar issues really. So I'm going to show you process part 1 first of all, and I'll see you in a bit for a little chat. Right, I'm filming at a quite a weird angle because I'm trying to avoid glare on my glasses because, you know, it's always a bit distracting, but I just wanted to, you know, update you on where I am with my hands really, because if you work with polymer clay, I suspect it's going to be quite likely that you're going to have hand injuries here and there. So I don't know whether you'll be able to see my calluses, and I don't know whether you'd want to actually, so I probably won't show you them up close, but they're just tiny little bumps on, I've got them on 3 of my fingers, but one is sort of particularly painful. So I've been looking into different solutions over the last month or so, and I'm at a stage now where thankfully things are a lot better, but it's going to be something that I need to practice at all times really. So I tend to use a stylus for computer work, and I think this is where the problem has mainly arose from actually. I hold it like a pen, so I'll just show you actually. So when I use the stylus, it's exactly the same as using a pen really. So I'm finding that I'm getting a lot of pressure on this third finger here because essentially my pen or my stylus rests directly on that. So there was around a week where I just couldn't use it at all really. It was just so painful. So firstly, I was able to find it's like a cover for this stylus that adds a bit of kind of protection really. So that primarily acts as a bit of a buffer, and I've had to use a bit of super glue or epoxy glue actually to stick it in place because it kept falling off and yeah, creating all sorts of kind of separate problems really. So that was tip number 1. Tip number 2 is fake fingertips. So these are essentially silicone fingertips and they look completely bizarre, don't they? But they aren't so useful. It's just a case of popping them on your fingers like so, and they act as a really great barrier. You know, they're kind of thick enough to offer some protection on your fingers but not too thick, so you know, you can't sort of feel your way around what you're doing really. These are really useful for, you know, pen work, but I found them also useful for, you know, like clay tools when I'm using my needle tool or my ball tool, all that kind of stuff, where the pressure really kind of falls on that third finger again. So yeah, I've been using these for clay work as well, only when I'm using tools because, you know, they're not that kind of great for actually doing clay work with them. But yeah, any kind of tool work, and they just offer a bit more protection really. There's the flesh tone ones which are kind of smaller, but there's also some white ones here that just slip over the thumb as well. And I know they just look odd, but you get used to them quite quickly. They were really inexpensive as well. I just got them from Amazon, so I'll link those below actually. So yeah, I just really recommend them, to be honest. They've been really useful. I also found these in the supermarket, and they just look like plasters, don't they? But they're made by Elastoplast and they're like long plasters. I'll just take one out. So what you do is just pop it on like a normal plaster, like so, a little bit fiddly, but they're a lot longer, so they add a bit more protection really. And yeah, this has been great actually, and I was using this before I came across the silicone fingertips, and yeah, I'd heartily recommend those as well. And they're just better than normal plasters really. They stick basically a lot better, so I'll be using these as I go on. And my last tip is working hands. I was using all sorts of moisturiser for my hands, and I was just finding it wasn't doing enough. You know, after about 5 minutes my hands felt really dry again, and that's what exacerbates finger calluses as well. It's just basically dry skin, and they're really hard to remove if you're ever able to do that. So the key is really to try and keep them as moisturised as possible, and this is the real deal. Basically, it's recommended by NHS workers who, you know, use their hands day in, day out, and it's just a really intensive treatment really. I was using it around 3 times a day, but I'm only really using it at night now, and I think they do actually do a nighttime version of this, but I think this is you know, good enough for me really. So yeah, I'm going to be a regular user of this as time goes on really. It's really great stuff, and I think it tends to work for most people within sort of 2 weeks really. So I'll link that below as well, because yeah, I'd really recommend it if you're using your hands regularly. It's all about looking after them really, isn't it? And I'd love to hear actually your tips on how you look after your hands, because you know, that I'm always open to hearing other suggestions as well. You know, that there might be some amazing treatments out there that I just, you know, haven't come across really. So yeah, leave those down below. So it's time to get back to Candyman, but I'm going to have a dog walk first of all. We've come to Burton Dasset Country Park today, which is it's a park near to Southam in Warwickshire here in the UK, and it's so weird because it's essentially the first day of autumn. It's really cold, isn't it, by comparison?
It's really changed.
It's been so warm here, so I think we're more autumn people, so we're quite happy about it.
Yeah.
What's the car coming? And this is Ian, actually, for those that are yet to meet him.
Hello, Clay Disarray people.
Clay Disarray people. And here's John Paul. It's become a little bit more stressful than we'd hoped because John Paul's really interested in eating all the sheep poo here because there's loads of wild sheep, so yeah, we're kind of having to walk on the road where possible. Trust us to have the weirdest dog ever. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Give it a like if you got this far, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again soon. I've got some really lovely ideas for some Halloween tutorials, so stay tuned for those, and I'll see you then. Take care. Bye bye.